After that, guys, we have another short notice fight. Andre Arlovski and Chase Sherman. You guys already know Chase Sherman is going out there, and he is trying to put the lights out with a knockout. 14 wins coming by KO TKO right here, and then 1 win by decision. You already know what he's going to do. He's going out there, and he's trying to knock you out. He's lost by knockout. He lost 1 fight by decision, lost 1 fight by second round knockout, lost by first round knockout, third round knockout, decision loss. Most of his losses coming by KO TKO. 4 KO TKO losses and 2 decision losses. So usually it's either him getting knocked out or him knocking out his opponent. That is pretty much that simple. Doesn't really have much of a grappling game, but neither does Andre Arlovski. This fight is staying on the feet. Both fighters have very, very good striking, very, very good power. Andre Arlovski, 17 knockout wins and 10 decision wins. If Andre wins the fight, I will say he will win the fight by 30-27 or 29-28 unanimous decision. And if Chase Sherman were to win the fight, it would be by unanimous decision. But guys, let's take a look at these stats from Andre Arlovski's fights with Tanner Boser and Felipe Lins. Look at the fights with Tanner Boser. He made it a really, really technical striking fight and defended all the big whipping shots from Tanner Boser. Ultimately won the fight by 29-28. Unanimous decision. You might look right here, 68 strikes to 34 strikes. You might be like, how did Andre Arlovski even win the fight? Well, literally 67% of Tanner Boser's strikes were to the leg of Andre Arlovski. Most of his strikes were to the body and to the head of Tanner Boser in that fight. That is the main way he was winning that fight. It's a real technical striking fight between Andre Arlovski and Tanner Boser. I think the exact same thing is gonna happen here between Chase Sherman and Andre Arlovski. Andre is gonna make it a really, really technical striking fight. Has so much experience being a former UFC heavyweight champion, 30 wins and 20 losses. He's had literally 50 professional MMA fights on his record. So much experience, really good power in his hands, and a really, really technical striker in the heavyweight division. He's still ranked as the 17th best heavyweight fighter in the world. And then you got Chase Sherman. He's going out there. He's trying to knock you out. So it's either Andre Arlovski to make it a technical fight and win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision, or Chase Sherman to go out there and let a big shot and knock out Andre Arlovski in the fight. One of those two things is going to happen in the fight. But considering that fight with Tanner Boser, who's a really, really good striker and also has a lot of power like Chase Sherman, Andre Arlovski made it look easy in the fight, making a technical striking fight and winning the fight by decision. So I think the exact same thing is going to happen here with Andre Arlovski and Chase Sherman. He's going to make a very technical striking performance and defend all those whooping shots from Chase Sherman and win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. After that, guys, KO TKO. That's all I have to say. With Abdul Razak Hassan coming off of a decision loss and a knockout loss to Chaos Williams 4.5 months ago. He's 35.5 years old, 5'10" tall, 73-inch reach. And then Jacob Malkoun, 4 wins and 1 loss, 25.5 years old. Both fighters have really, really good power. Jacob Malkoun, 2 knockout wins and 2 decision wins, coming off a devastating knockout loss in his last fight with Phil Hawes in 18 seconds into the first round. Absolutely insane. And then Abdul Razak Hassan, 10 wins and 3 losses. You look right here. Come on, man. 10 KO TKO wins, 0 wins by submission, and 0 wins by decision. The man's got power. That is all you gotta know about Abdul Razak Hassan. He's going out there and he is trying to finish you in the first or second round. Jacob Malkoun is also trying to do pretty much the same exact thing. I think this fight is gonna stay on the feet, and it's a pretty simple prediction for me. Jacob Malkoun is showing he does not have the best chin. Getting knocked out by a guy like Phil Hawes, whose power does not match a guy like Abdul Razak Hassan. Abdul is going to go out there and land a big right hand, in my opinion. And considering Jacob just got knocked out in literally 17 seconds, 19 seconds, or whatever the case may be, by Phil Hawes, I think the exact same thing is going to happen in the fight. And I think Abdul Razak Hassan is going to go out there and land a big right hand and knock Jacob Malkoun out in the first or second round in the fight. After that, oh my god, we have Ricardo Ramos and Bill Algeo. This is a close one. Bill Algeo, 14 wins and 5 losses. Ricardo Ramos, 14 wins and 3 losses. The betting odds so close, -110 and -120. 25.5 years old, and then 31.5 years old. The height and reach advantage going for Bill Algeo in the fight at 6 foot tall and 73.5-inch reach. So a 3-inch height advantage and a 1.5-inch reach advantage for Bill Algeo in the striking game in the fight. Ricardo Ramos, 14 wins and and 3 losses. You look right here, 7 submission wins and 3 KO TKO wins and 4 decision wins inside of the UFC. Joining the UFC in 2017, decision win, a 3rd round knockout win over Ayman Zahabi, a decision win over Kyung Ko Hong, a loss to Said Nurmagomedov, an absolute beast of a fighter in the bantamweight division by 1st round knockout. I'll be joining news on my unanimous decision, then be Eduardo Garagori on a 1st round submission, and as you guys know, lost to an lost to Lerone Murphy, who was an absolutely amazing striker, who was really good wrestling by 1st round TKO. But yeah, Ricardo Ramos has very good submission skills, has some pretty good striking as well. Bill Algeo has pretty good striking as well. His last 2 fights with Ricardo Lamas and Spike Carlil, really close fights. With Spike Carlil, he's kind of fighting a guy that really gasses out in the 2nd and 3rd round. That is the main way he won the fight. Who knows what would have happened if Spike Carlil did not gas out in the fight. With Ricardo Lamas, really close fight. Let's take a look at these stats of the Ricardo Lamas fight. I mean, it was a very close fight. If we can find these stats of the fight, because it was a super close fight between a guy that was once in the top 10 of the featherweight division, 89 significant strikes to 104 significant strikes. The main way he lost the fight was because of the takedowns. Ricardo Lamas landed 5 out of 11 takedowns in the fight, and that is definitely going to be a factor in the fight. Bill Algeo has some pretty decent takedown defense. Ricardo Ramos has some pretty good wrestling, pretty good submission skills in the striking game. I think it's going to be very even in the striking game, but in the grappling and the wrestling game, I might actually give the advantage to Ricardo Ramos, even though Billy Algeo has some pretty good submission, ground and pound skills in the grappling and wrestling skills. He has 6 submission wins on his record as well, but in the grappling game, I will give the slight advantage to a guy like Ricardo Ramos. In the striking game, it's gonna be so even. There might be a slight edge to Bill Algeo because he's gonna have that height advantage, he's gonna have that reach advantage, but overall, Ricardo Ramos, in my opinion, is gonna do the exact same thing that Ricardo Lamas did in their fight 6.5 months ago, and get a lot of takedowns and get the fight down, land a lot of ground and pound shots and go for submission in the fight. But overall, I think it's gonna be a super close fight. Honestly, a split decision. It's gonna be a 29-28 win for one of these two guys in the fight. A super close fight in the featherweight division. But overall, I will be going with Ricardo Ramos to win the fight because the striking game is super even. In the grappling game, I do have him having the advantage in the grappling and wrestling game. So I have Ricardo Ramos winning the fight by 29-28 decision. It should be a really close fight in this featherweight fight between Bill Algeo and Ricardo Ramos. Super close fight right there. And then after that, I'm gonna say right now, I have Luis Pena winning the fight. You have Alex Munoz, not really the best takedown accuracy. You look at his last couple of fights. He has Nasser Hakparas. He got absolutely dominated in that fight. I mean, there was like 103 significant strikes for Nasser Hakparas to Alexander Munoz, having only like 37 strikes in the fight. I mean, absolutely insane. He only landed 1 takedown in the fight, having a takedown accuracy of 12%, only keeping the fight on the ground for 54 seconds. I mean, it was an absolute domination. Could have been a 30-26. It was just such a absolute domination. You already know what he's gonna do if he goes out there. He's gonna go for takedown after takedown after takedown. That is what he's going to do. He's a very good wrestler, but he did not show his wrestling skills in his last fight with Nasser Hakparas. And when you're facing a guy like Luis Pena, who has some pretty good takedown accuracy and pretty good takedown defense in the fight, I think he will keep the fight on the feet and he will have that striking advantage, considering he's 6'3" tall, 6 inches taller than Alex Munoz, and has a 75-inch reach. In the striking game, he will have the advantage. In the wrestling game, obviously Alex Munoz will have the advantage. Maybe get 1 or 2 takedowns in the fight, but overall, I think Luis Pena will keep the fight on the feet and overall win the fight on the feet, using the height and using that reach to win the fight in the striking game and win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. But who knows? Who knows what's gonna happen? Alex Munoz, if he does really good in the wrestling game, obviously he's gonna win the fight. But there's no way of telling. Considering his last performance with Nasser Hakparas, he had horrible wrestling in the fight. So I think Luis Pena will defend the takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, and win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. And then we go to the co-main event, another really neck and neck striking fight. Jeremy Stephens and Drakkar Klose in the lightweight division, 11 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw. I'm the 22nd best lightweight fighter in the world. Jeremy Stephens, 28 wins, 18 losses, and 0 draws. 34, almost 35 years old, so they're similar in age. No real age advantage for either fighter in the fight. There is a little bit of a reach advantage, just by 1 inch for Jeremy Stephens at 71 inches, the same height, at 5.9 inches tall for both fighters in the fight. Jeremy Stephens is a favorite in the fight at minus 150. The betting odds for right now are super close at minus 115, and then plus 105 and minus 100. It's just a really close fight in the striking game. The tabloid predictions are super close. 43% going for Stephens, and then 57% going close to win the fight. A really close fight in the striking game right here. Drakkar Klose, 11 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. In his last fight, with Beneil Dariush, he lost the fight by a second round knockout. And guess what, in the fight, Beneil Dariush, I believe top 8 or top 7 lightweight fighter in the world, he actually almost knocked out Beneil Dariush, but Beneil, you guys already know, he came back and knocked him out in the second round. Before that, beating Christos Giagos, Bobby Green, and Lando Venata, all by unanimous decision, losing to David Tamor by unanimous decision, beating Mark Diakese, beating Devin Powell. Before that was an undefeated fighter with 4 knockout wins and 7 decision wins. So I think overall, if Drakkar Klose were to win the fight, it would probably be by unanimous decision. If Jeremy Stephens were to win the fight, it'd be by first round TKO, or to win the fight by unanimous decision, because the man has like 17 knockouts on his record, 18 KO TKO wins, 3 submission wins, and 7 decision wins on his record. So I think he's either gonna get a first round knockout win or win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. When we have a fight that is this close between Drakkar Klose and Jeremy Stephens, you gotta look at the stats. The stats in the fight are very close between Drakkar Klose and Jeremy Stephens. You look right here, the same height, pretty much the same exact reach. They're both orthodox fighters, pretty much the same exact age, but the significant striking advantage, in my opinion, even though Drakkar Klose has a little bit more strikes landing every single minute, Jeremy Stephens has really good striking defense and has much better striking, considering he's fighting against a Max Holloway, Jose Aldo, Calvin Kattar, all these amazing fighters in the top 5, top 10 of the featherweight division. So that is why there's just a little bit better striking in the statistics from Drakkar Klose in the fight. With the striking accuracy probably going to Drakkar Klose at 53%, which is a very good striking accuracy to have for Drakkar Klose in the fight. In the wrestling game, very even. They both get like 1, maybe 2 takedowns in every single one of their fights. But this right here, I don't really need to look at it, because this fight is staying on the field. One of these two guys is going to get knocked out in the first round, or one of these guys is going to win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. You guys already know Jeremy Stephens has had a pretty rough last couple of fights that beat Magomed Sharipov, Jose Aldo, Yair Rodriguez, and Calvin Kattar. 4 losses in a row inside the UFC in the featherweight division. But you guys always forget, before that, he got 3 wins in a row, second round knockout, and unanimous decision over Du Ho Choi, Gilbert Melendez, and Josh Emmett. I mean, he's still a game fighter in the featherweight division, really good power, really good striker. Drakkar Klose also has some pretty good power and has some really good striking accuracy in the fight. This is going to be a super close fight. I almost do not know who to lean towards, but I am going to be going with the super slight favorite, who has very small striking advantage in the fight. It's a very close fight, but I am going with Jeremy Stephens to win the fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. Man, when I first saw the fight, I had Jeremy Stephens winning the fight, but it's just such a close fight for sure. But I do have Jeremy Stephens winning the fight by 29-28, a unanimous decision. And guess what, guys? We made it to the main event of UFC Fight Night, Whittaker versus Gastelum. This is a short notice fight. You guys already know Robert Whittaker was supposed to fight Paulo Costa, and then Kelvin Gastelum on short notice, I believe like 2 weeks notice, coming in to fight the #1 middleweight contender in Robert Whittaker, 22 wins and 5 losses. Kelvin Gastelum, 17 wins and 6 losses, similar ages, both fighters in the prime of their MMA careers at 29 and a half years old and 30 years old. A little bit of a height advantage and a reach advantage for Robert Whittaker in the fight. He's 6 foot tall and a 73.5-inch reach, so a 2-inch reach advantage and a, I believe, 3-inch height advantage for Robert Whittaker in the fight. In the striking game, I mean, never count out a guy like Kelvin Gastelum, even though he had a really close fight with the guys like Israel Adesanya, with guys like Darren Till, fought Chris Weidman, fought Neil Magny, really close fights in all those fights. Has really good striking. In the last couple of years, he's kind of been forcing more of a wrestling-based game plan, more of a wrestling, grappling-based game plan. We saw in the last fight with Ian Heitness. with Ian Heinisch. I mean, he had like 8 takedowns in the fight, I believe. I went for takedown after takedown after takedown over and over and over again. Got 6 takedowns in the fight. Went for 14 takedowns total. Had 6 minutes 50 seconds of total control time in the fight. That was his game plan in the last fight with Ian Heinisch. It's gonna be really, really hard to do the same exact thing with a guy like Robert Whittaker. When you look right here, he has an 84% takedown defense. I mean, come on, man. That takedown defense is really, really good. He's gonna keep the fight on the feet. I think Kelvin Gastelum could get the fight to the ground once, maybe twice in the fight. But overall, will keep the fight on the feet because Robert Whittaker's takedown defense is just so good. So I think this fight is going to stay on the feet. And Robert Whittaker, having 22 wins, 5 losses, fighting Israel Adesanya, coming off of 2 decision wins over Darren Till, Jared Cannonier, beating Yoel Romero twice, Ronaldo Souza, Derek Brunson, Rafael Natal, Uriah Hall, Brad Tavares, all these amazing fighters inside the UFC. I mean, Robert Whittaker is an absolute beast. He's such an underrated fighter in the middleweight division. Everyone's talking about Israel Adesanya, about all these other middleweight fighters, but Robert Whittaker is an absolute beast in the striking game, and with a takedown defense of 84%, it's a perfect match to fight a guy like Kelvin Gastelum, defend the takedowns and keep the fight on the feet, making it a very, very close striking fight. I think overall, Kelvin Gastelum will win 1, possibly 2 of the rounds, but overall, I have Robert Whittaker winning the fight by 49-46, unanimous decision in a short notice main event for UFC fighting Whittaker versus Gastelum.